Howdy, howdy, everybody, and welcome to another exciting edition of Casual Competition. My name is Connor, alongside a member of the Team Best Friends squad. It's Improbable Blue!
Yes, I am here.
Alright, we don't have very much time to talk, but we'll be talking more between games because we have got ourselves our first game already started. Whoa! Let's jump across and see. We've got 5 different point of views today, Blob, which is amazing. I don't know what to make of that.
That is a few. More than usual, I think. But you know.
It's worth mentioning before we get into things properly here today that we have our new sponsor in for today's competition, Rix.gg, supporting female and marginalized genders all across the world in esports. Please do have a word with Rain, who's playing here today. If you'd like to find out more from someone who actually works there, they'll be able to explain it a lot better than I will. But Rix.gg is the website. You can go check them out. They're supporting us with various giveaway prizes, which we will be detailing more as we go forward. So, Blob, we have ourselves a new set, a set 5.5, and we have ourselves 5 POV players. We are spoiled for choice here. Where should we start?
Well, I think starting at whoever's the upper right is probably a good start, because I noticed they've got like a very good start, so we can talk about them doing well, I think.
Oh, that's D-Wolf.
D-Wolf, yes. D-Wolf is kind of high rolling, all things considered. Although it didn't actually hit the true high roll start, because there is the new synergy in Sentinels. As you can see, the Olaf and the Aurelia there. 2 of the Sentinels, and 3 Sentinels, 3 Skirmisher is, I think, fairly accepted as if you get this opener, you just win the early game. So, you know, they were pretty close. And you can see there's a lot of Sentinels around. So Sentinel, Skirmisher. People like this start. It's just powerful early game stuff. They'll have to see if they can actually get, like, you know, 2-star units and all of that before you can really call it a good start.
So they're up against the Friar Lord. So I believe Friar Lord is one of our players. So we've got 7 tournament players in this lobby, and we've got 1 rando. This is our rando, and it looks like they're doing pretty well against the skirmishers. I guess just having a couple of 2 stars in there makes a difference.
Absolutely. I mean, it's one of those things, right, where everyone loves synergies. Synergies are cool. You get all the lighting up things on the right side of the screen. But when it comes down to it, I think a lot of the time just having bigger unit makes you better anyway. Alright,
so hopefully D-Wolf can pick up some extra Sentinels to get them going, as we're seeing Hellions, Knights and things around the place. A nice little bit of scouting here from D-Wolf, as they've got a few options to consider here. I wonder if they might just throw in some items without slamming, but let's have a look and see what else is going on around the place, because we've got so many POVs to consider. Anyone else grab your eye here?
Not really. It's actually just quite hard to see all these things because they're quite small on the screen. Probably going to full screen.
Let's grab Skiller. Let's see what Skiller's up to.
Skiller, shall we? Oh, they've got a Yasuo stat. I'm personally a very big fan of Yasuo. I think it's one of, if not the best, like just comp to play at the moment. Obviously, just playing all legendaries with good synergies is always going to be the best. But in terms of, like, you know, consistent, you can actually play this every game comp, Yasuo is very, very good. And already on a Yasuo with a bow.
Ooh.
So, you know, pretty good start here.
The old Yasuo. I love it.
Absolutely.
So we've got a very strong front line combined with inevitable damage. So I want to make sure of this, because this is one of the things I've managed to somehow get all the way through set 5 without really understanding. So for Yasuo, his ability is that he hits someone, which is fairly straightforward, and then he gains true damage on his auto attacks. Am I right in interpreting that each time he uses his ability, that kind of on-hit effect for each one of his auto attacks becomes stronger?
Yes, it stacks, essentially.
Okay.
So you can see he's doing 50, 60 damage there on the true damage, and now 90. So yeah, now 120. It does stack, and it also can crit if you give him a dual gauntlet. And yeah, it's very, very strong with attack speed items. Also, obviously, with Hurricane, means you hit 2 targets with your true damage. And against things that have a lot of resistances like Cavaliers or Knights, they don't care. True damage doesn't care, right? So it can be very, very good against basically anyone who tries to stop it.
Well, hey, we are in Spatula City. This seems like a topic that's kind of worth discussing here. Is Blob, how are you feeling like where the spatulas are right now? Because there's more emblems you can get in the game, but they're not all covered by spatulas.
Yeah, absolutely. Because obviously shadow items got removed. You just don't have access to half the spatula items that there were. Obviously, also Shadowfall isn't here anymore, which is tragic.
Ah, yes.
But spatulas are weird because a lot of comps really don't like spatula. Like, for example, this one. What are you even going to use spatula for? Like, obviously, Fauna is great. But there's no Legionnaire spat anymore because now it's Hellion spat. There's no... there's no Ironclad spat, so you can't just be doing that. Really, it's just Cavalier spat, and that's the best you can do. So at this point, you're kind of just hoping you hit another spat and you just slam a Fauna and just be happy that way. But otherwise, it's a bit tricky, really. And it's true for a lot of comps that there just aren't very many spats that are very good.
It's a strange place to be in. It's felt like the spatulas have been a bit of a vestigial thing for a while. And maybe they are on the way out in that they're kind of, they're only sort of half here in this set. So we've established Knight and Nightbringer is the path for Skiller for the moment. So we'll put on Yasuo, ? For the time being, and let's go check in with Mr. Duck, see how they're doing.
It appears they're not doing Duck mode, which is fantastic. So they've actually got a chance this game. They are also one of the people who picked up a spatula, and they've just gone for the normal Sentinel start. The thing that Sentinels have going for them is this Aurelia. Aurelia has 3 tags, which means that her synergies are just insane. Like, you can go level 5 and slap in a at least in here, and you get Skirmisher and Nightbringer as well, and it's ridiculous. But obviously, she's only 1-star and does not compare to this kind of a strong Olaf with that Infinity Edge right there.
Yes. I think something which I was talking about on the Contingent Competitive League, which you can catch on Fridays, is that the nasal spray making some pretty good use of Olaf there, as we see some more Olafs coming through the shop as well. But this is a very different Olaf than people might remember from sets past.
Absolutely. He is not the 4-cost hyper carry that will just murder your entire team. And people have attempted to make Olaf carry work and failed. It's not good. So yeah, he's okay and will do well early game, but he is not a hyper carry.
It does feel kind of weird that you've kind of... I'm trying to figure out kind of what the purpose of Olaf kind of is in Sentinels, because, he doesn't function as a hyper carry. I guess he's kind of there as a tank, but then so is Aurelia, and she just does that whole thing better, while being very similarly costed.
I mean, yeah, he is by far the worst of the Sentinels. You could use him as an item holder for Lucian or Akshan if you're really high rolling. So he has that role. He fills out the Skirmisher synergy for that very, very strong early game I talked about, which is also very nice. And early game, with the Sentinel Shield, with his inbuilt healing and attack speed steroid, he does do a lot of work. So he's not bad, he just falls off.
Alright, so at the moment we've got 4 Sentinels. Sentinels kind of... Sorry, we should probably actually start talking a bit more about the game rather than just about the set. So let's talk about the lobby overall. So Nasal Spray and the Friar Lord, both on a 100 right now, undefeated. As we come up against... Gosh, there's 2 people with Fry in their name in one lobby. I think maybe I'm just hungry.
Yeah, against Thunder Fry, who is going for the recently nerfed Cavalier Misfortune build.
So what's the kind of idea with the Cavalier Misfortune then? I can see we've got, a heavily itemized Misfortune early on, and I assume this is relatively similar to what we would see previously with the brand Cavalier setup.
Yeah, basically, you have damage dealer and tank. The comps really don't get much more simple than that, right? The Cavaliers tank very, very well. Misfortune does a lot of damage over time. She also has inbuilt anti-heal. So in terms of like a front-to-back team fight that goes on a long time, typically Misfortune Cavaliers will win. Unless this against something ridiculous like Kale. Cavalier Misfortune just wins out these long fights. So yeah, that's generally the idea. It's the same as it was, just with a new carry.
Oh, Maisie's offering to get us a Mackie D's breakfast. So, Blob, if you're, if you're hankering for I don't know, milk muffin, I've not had a McDonald's breakfast in quite a long time.
I've actually never had McDonald's.
I mean, it's food. Anyway, speaking of food, here's food for the senses. It's Knights and Forgotten. It's the horse carry Death Belingus is going for here, because there are only damage dealers, but there's sure a lot of defensive stats.
And yeah, this is what I would describe as a bad team comp. Because
okay,
the thing
bad
is,
team comp?
well, as you hit the nail on the head. There is no damage here. Like, frontline is great and all, but it doesn't matter if you never die, if you never kill your opponent. And for example, someone like Skillat has true damage. Your resistances are worthless, and you're gonna get cut down. Like, these units don't do any damage. It's not like you're like having a 3-star Thresh who will one-shot people. Like, it's great and all that you don't die, but you need to also kill your opponent.
I guess I was actually going to say that the Dragon's Claw would be a option here, because it does that burst of true damage each time there's a cast nearby. And then I realised they actually do have that.
And they do actually win this. After I flame their comp, they actually win against the Yasuo.
It's inevitable.
Which is unfortunate. So yeah, maybe this is the new secret tech, but I doubt it. I do wonder what they're going for overall. Like, I haven't seen, like, it's been a while since there's been just like true like defensive hyper carry. I suppose it would be Hecarim last set when he was really, really broken and could 1v8. Yeah, but he's been nerfed several times since then, so I don't expect this to be quite in that state.
Okay. Oh, right. So I was going to say, so it looks like the setup here for Death Belingus is passive damage. So we've got the Sunfire Cape, of course, exemplifies that by just doing damage over time. The Dragon's Claw does that as well by bursting people out by quite a lot of their health. I think it's like a third.
Yeah, I think it's 30%. It's quite a lot, yeah.
Which isn't like that much in. Because I know people sort of looking at it initially and saying that's not very much in the context of a big fight. But if that fight runs long, it's not 30% of current health, it's 30% of max health.
Yes.
So once you get down to the later stuff, which especially is going to happen if you're using your Sunfire Cape, then I think that might actually make enough difference to push Death Belingus into a win.
Win of a round, maybe, but I am of the opinion still that this is not a game-winning comp. You do need a carry in the late game. And you can see that like this is just maybe just about good enough. It is losing to this 6 Sentinel. Oh, not losing. It's just about win the 6 Sentinel board. Hard to call fights, apparently.
It is.
The Hellion Kled coming in at the last second.
Oh damn, that's gonna. The Radiant Redemption, that is gonna be super gross for this kind of setup here, because you're already getting a lot of value out of your individual stats because you've got the Knight and Cavalier on amping up your HP. If you can now heal it as well, I mean you are again doubling down on the whole healing aspect at the expense of your damage. But if you're gonna go this direction, it doesn't seem like a bad one.
Yeah, Radiant Redemption is, I think, coming to be known as one of the better Radiant items. I know there were some very early tier lists where some people put Radiant Redemption as like, oh yeah, this is amazing, and some people put it as, no, this is terrible. But I think people are coming to agree that it's actually pretty good. The heal is very nice. The anti-AoE is also incredible. So I'll have to see whether or not this does save the match. Although, is this now defensive team comp against defensive team comp? And I'm not sure if... Actually, I think this Hecarim is going to be fine. The anti-AoE is coming in clutch right there.
Yeah, it's working really well, and the Dragon's Claw actually killed Misfortune along with Thresh, so... You're right, I do feel like, as well as this is going right now for the Plingus, there are circumstances, where Thresh doesn't pull in Misfortune because of because of the positioning setup being correct to avoid that, and then Misfortune's just completely untouchable. It's got a really strong aura of power around Hecarim, but anything that can keep away from Hecarim by one method or another feels like it's going to be very hard for Death Blingus' comp to deal with.
Absolutely, and I do believe that I saw the Yasuo from Skiller has an RFC now, so they don't have to get in range of that anymore. And it's yeah, you can see the RFC there. They actually do high roll the font, so good play there. Yeah, this is just how it is now. Yasuo doesn't get hit by Hecarim spell. There's also a lot of defensive stuff. 3 Cavalier, 2 Ironclad, 2 Knight. You can play. I don't even know what you play. Probably Lee Sin, because Lee Sin's broken. But yeah, this is coming to be a very powerful Yasuo comp. Oh no, you don't have a Legionary. There we go. That makes sense.
Oh yes, so Stoics, hey, welcome to the stream. So yes, if you haven't played in set 4.5, I guess I'll leave it to you, Blob, to because you're good at explaining stuff. To explain what's going on with Radiant items, what happened to me Shadow items, what's going on.
Okay, so Shadow items have been deleted because I guess they weren't liked very much. And so Radiant items have replaced them at 3.6. Wait, is it 3.6?
Yes, it's already passed, but yes, 3.6.
Yeah, 3.6. At 3.6, you get the option of 5 Radiant items. You obviously pick one, and that's it. You don't get any more. The Radiant items are all very good. Well, they're all better than their normal components. So that's essentially what it is. So, for example, Radiant RFC gives you 2 extra range. Radiant Bramble gives, I think, just more defensive stats. It also gives innate healing. Things like that. Like Radiant Warmogs is 1800 HP along with 1% healing. So yeah, they're all better. Some of them are obviously more desirable than others. But yes, you get 1 per game. They're good. Use it wisely. Essentially, is how it is.
Yeah, they don't have any of the downsides that the shadow items would have, but I think a lot of the time they kind of are effectively the shadow items, just the better version is. Alright, so we've got ourselves a eggs in one basket composition here for Skiller. They've got the 1 item set up for the Yasuo, who's going to be extremely well protected with Knight, Cavalier, and a Nightbringer shield as well. Though I don't imagine that Nightbringer shield is going to get procced anytime soon, because Yasuo is, if anything, a bit too safe in that respect.
Yeah, he's safe, but he got procced there. I actually don't know what by. Probably the Hurricane on the Jax, actually.
Yes.
So yeah, that's essentially what it is. I am very surprised that Skiller is not spamming Hodge. Hodge is, in my opinion, one of the best items on Yasuo. Especially with the new buffed Hodge. I don't know how many people were aware, but you now actually get both things at like 10, and then one of them goes to 40. So you always get a little bit of healing, you always get a little bit of damage, which is quite nice for Yasuo, who he might take a little bit of damage from like a Hurricane from a Jax 1. But if you have 10% healing, then, you're fine.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, it definitely helps throw away that little bit of extra damage, which we saw there. It did help proc the Nightbringer shield, but it also ultimately
made him die.
Yes, that is a little bit worse. So we kind of know what's the deal with Skiller's composition. Let's go and spend some time with Thunderfighter. We haven't seen a ton of. So this is the Misfortune. Wait, is that Misfortune 3?
Yeah, that is Misfortune 3. Has unfortunately got a component on her, and so can't say slam Infinity Edge, which you'd quite like to do. Is almost definitely looking for an Archangel Staff. That's the item of choice for the 3rd item. However, Mr. Duck very skillfully rolled a Radiant Zephyr on that Radiant Thieves Gloves, which gives 2 Radiant items if you didn't guess already. And obviously Thunderfire just didn't scout duck, and so didn't know it was there. And so, like 10 seconds stun on your like main damage dealer. Yeah, that's a pretty bad time.
Yeah, that's really awful. So let's check in on the lobby overall. So nasal spray, new to today's tournament. It's up at the top with D Wolf TFT, one move just below them. So all in the 60s. Then we drop down to the 40s for Mr. Duck Skiller, Death Blingers, and of course Thunderfry with our random player Friar Lord down in 23. So let's take a chance to see where's D Wolf? What's D Wolf up to? What are they doing? I think their stream's maybe a little bit behind.
Oh, six skirmisher is what they're doing. Although the stream is actually quite a bit behind. They're going for six skirmisher, which is it's a build. I'm like, as much as I really like skirmishers and like their playstyle, they're kind of just bad.
Why's that?
Well, it's just that, okay, so previously skirmishers were okay in set 5, right? And then they replaced Pantheon and Trundle with Aurelia and Olaf.
Yes. And
Pantheon and Trundle were like the two best skirmishers. And Aurelia, she's okay, but she's not good, especially like by the time you get to stage 4, stage 5. Jax is honestly not a great carry. Viego is basically the only good skirmisher. Everything else is just kind of like mediocre at best. Like the skirmisher spat obviously does help because you can put that on something better, but the units themselves just aren't good enough to keep up in the late game. And I've seen people go from like 100 HP in stage 4 to bot 4ing because they kept skirmishers in and then just lost every round in stage 5, stage 6.
Well, to change tack a little bit, and for Stybix's sake as well, just wanted to point out something that's been going on in the lobby. So another new mechanic coming in for Sex 5.5 is that we have kind of supply drops coming in, I think called Divine Blessings, but I don't think anyone's going to end up calling them that because that's a...
I call them blessings.
Yeah, well...
it might just be me, though.
I'm just a PUBG player at heart, I guess. But they will, for everyone in the lobby, when you drop below 40 health, they will drop in the supply drop of extra stuff, which can wildly vary in strength. Levin is more on stimmies. Yes, sure.
Yeah, stimmy is what Soju has been calling it. And
Okay.
obviously Soju has a fair amount of influence in the TFT community, so kind of caught on a lot.
Stimmy?
Stimulus. In reference to the stimulus checks the Americans got.
Oh.
You know, because there are a lot of American streamers in this game.
Fair enough.
I'm fairly sure that's what it's in reference to anyway.
I mean, I'm going to stick with supply drop. Either way around it, the reason why we've been seeing tons of Thieves Gloves in this lobby is because the Blessing, Stimmy, supply drop has been a pair of Thieves Gloves. So that's why we've got tons of them knocking around. We saw one, and we've got, in fact, all but 3 of our lobby are below 40, so they've all gotten their package of there. And yeah, we can enjoy, along with not just Radiant Thieves Gloves, but regular Thieves Gloves as well, to make every round confusing to follow.
Absolutely. It's one of those things where it's just... Sometimes the Blessing is really, really good. It'll give you, like, 2 Nikos and a bunch of gold, or it'll give you, like, the buck that gives you an armory of spatulas. And sometimes it'll just give you 3 reforges.
Yes, I've had that one.
So it can be very, very good. I know some people like just hard lose streaking early to rush to the Blessing. But it's a little bit of a risky strategy given how these blessings can come out.
And the nice thing about this as well is that, you know, as much as that definitely means that helps, you know, the extreme variance on these drops means that, yeah, it's a lot more or a lot less of like the right strategy to be doing that, which, you know, open 40 and getting access to the Blessing early on. The drop tables have actually been published on Twitter, which is really nice. I'm really glad that that's the attitude being taken now, where before it was, we'll hide as much as possible from you guys because, I don't know, reasons. Now they're trusting the players to be able to make decisions based on actual data. So you can see that it varies all from being basically garbage, as you mentioned with the Reforgers, to 50 gold. I think it's the 1% chance of happening.
Yeah. Some of them are very insane. Although we didn't get one this game. If it's just a Thieves' Gloves, then, that's fairly low roll, honestly, because you can't really do anything with Thieves' Gloves. However, that's what we've got, and you have to live with it. Everyone's got it, basically, at this point. Although what I am surprised by is Death Belingus has 7 components on their bench. Okay, they are now slamming them. I was very confused they didn't slam them previously, because obviously components are literally worthless on the bench. They are putting these items on the jacks. This is a comp that can do well, which is you just go very, very defensive stuff and you have Jax carry, because Jax is also an Ironclad. So you can see it's got Ironclad, Mystic, Knight, and it's also got the Gwen 2, which I think is the real carry. So yeah, this is just the defensive comp, really.
It seems to be working pretty
Jax
well.
Can carry.
And that Thieves' Glove just rolled some pretty disgusting items for the Gwen, so she'd be able to absolutely destroy everything that comes through. Galio upgrade as well, leaving the Heimerdinger behind, because I presume there is a world in which you could build a very strong defensive front line and then just put Heimerdinger in behind it to kill any comp that doesn't have backline access.
Yeah, you could absolutely do that. I don't know if that would... I mean, no, the comp that essentially does that is you end up playing like Volibear frontline for your CC, because he synergizes well with Fiddlesticks and Ivan, who synergize nicely with Heimerdinger. But yeah, Heimerdinger takes a while to go off, so it's not an unreasonable thing to be doing.
Alright, so as we expected, Gwen survives through the round while Jax does not. D-Wolf takes a big hit there. The Death Belingus, we'll take a look at the scoreboard in just a second. But yes, Death Belingus is now up the top of the lobby, with Friar Lord being knocked out in the bottom. 1 winged bullet down on 10, Skiller on 11, and D-Wolf on 11 as well. So we've actually got nearly everybody else in the lobby in potential elimination territory if they have a bad next round.
Oh yeah, this is very, very close. It's unusual to see a lobby be this close this early. Clearly, everyone's been taking really, really big losses. Although, Death Belingus is probably happy for that, because if 4 people die in this next round, then, even if they lose, they're in a good spot.
Alright, so let's check in with Skiller, who is, I believe, along with D-Wolf, I think his stream might have fallen over. Oh, no, it's struggling a little bit, but we do appreciate you, D-Wolf, for putting a stream up. I certainly have been in the position myself of having a computer that's not quite up to it, but we will very much value as many POVs as we can get. For now, though, Skiller, they grabbed themselves a Legionnaire 2-star Riven, and they did slam that Hand of Justice from before, but no third item for Yasuo, who is supposedly going to be doing the heavy lifting here in the comp.
Yeah, no third item Yasuo is kind of scary. Obviously, like, the defensive items they have are very good. Those items on Rel are quite nice. The Shadow... I keep calling them Shadow. The Radiant Warmog, the Radiant Bramble even, the Warmogs synergize very nicely. You have the Lee Sin, who's very strong as well. So, yeah, pretty good items. The Yasuo, while doesn't have 3 items, is still good enough to beat Mr. Duck. And also kill Mr. Duck, apparently.
Oh, no!
Well, yeah, so yeah, this is, again, a very, very defensive comp with a hyper carry. The thing with the Yasuo comp that I found is that you can be really, really flexible with it. And if you see here that what they have is Riven as their other Legionnaire. You can use Aurelia is the one I see quite a lot. You have Aurelia as your Legionnaire, and then you get 2 skirms, and you can play like maybe Viego with a Dana, or you can play Jax with your Rel. Or even Olaf and Rakan. If you have Vladimir in, you get Rhaenyra as well. So this comp very, very flexible. And 4 Cavalier is apparently the route that Skiller's going. Although, surprisingly, hasn't decided to use their item. So it is literally worthless on their bench. And, okay, they have slammed it on Yasuo then.
Okay, yeah.
Mid-fight.
It was, I think Skillet was very afraid of actually losing that round without having used the Cavalier, so, oh, and exciting news as we see, hey, there we go, there's a scavenger knocking around, Viego in the shop. Mr. Duck will now officially be engaging in duck mode for the rest of the competition, so all witness and tremble.
I mean, if they don't go 8th in any of the games, I'll be impressed.
Alright, so let's see. So who have we got still in the mix? So we kind of know what's going on with the Yasuo comp. Thunder Fighter is also on, well, along with one Winged Bullet, is on the edge of elimination with a loss streak as well. So that's not a great start. But if they can survive one round, then it's fairly likely that even Nasal Spray could potentially go out if the loss is bad enough.
I find this quite weird because they've currently got 3 Hecarims in. Okay, they are actually taking the Hecarims out now. Which that was just a bit of a weird situation there. They do end up taking them out. They've got the Garen for 3 Knight, which is not much of a synergy, but he does have the MR reduction, which is very nice when your main damage dealer is a Misfortune who does magic damage.
Yeah, and up against Skiller here, so you can see that the very horsey Yasuo is doing some good work with that damage reduction, so has been more defensively than normal. Misfortune, though, as you can see in a front-to-back team fight, that Misfortune's not getting touched at all.
Yasuo did roll healing here, so he's actually got a decent chance.
It was the Cavalier damage reduction that did it.
Yeah, Cavalier damage reduction, healing from Hodge, and ends up being a 4th place for our Cavalier Misfortune player. I think the nerfs to the Hecarim healing really hurt the chances there.
All right, let's just check in on some other players we haven't maybe seen for a little bit. So, that's right. No, so Mr. Duck is currently playing.
Mr. Duck is dead.
Let's see. So Gasblingers is still playing.
Yeah, they're still on the Jax carry with a lot of defensive stuff. They have 5 Knight in, which is a choice. I guess they just don't have anything better to play at the moment. Although they are getting bullied by a Viego, which is always a bit of a shame.
Yeah, so you can see, the Viego with the rapid fire cannon, that's one of the ones which I think I got in a similar situation where I wasn't necessarily intentionally trying to go for it, but it works extremely well for Viego that he can not just attack but cast his ult from maximum range.
Absolutely. RC Blue Buff, I think, are the 2 best items on Viego. As you can see, it does very, very well there. As we actually do see Skiller dropping out as well. I'm not sure who they were playing. Probably also Nasal Spray. It appears that Nasal Spray is the strongest player in the lobby, especially if the Viego just casts his spell on your 3-star Yasuo. You just lose. That's all there is to it.
Oh, yes. It is very tricky, and I guess that's where it really comes down to in these last few rounds, is you've got the chance to make those positioning decisions. So I think we've got Jax versus Jax for our final round. Though Nasal Spray is leaning very heavily on this very strong Lucian in the backline, who should be able to cut through a lot of the defensive stats.
Oh, actually, Lucian is very, very bad into 6 Knight. Because his damage is all those little bullets, right? So each one gets the Knight reduction, and you can see he's actually not doing very much damage at all. And 6 Knight hard counters him.
Well, I never. That makes a lot of sense, now you put it that way. So it's Knight, thanks to a pile of Knights. And we're starting to see that maybe this is the way to go. Big pile of defensive stats plus carry. It's certainly got 3 of the top 4 comps were all kind of variations on that same idea. So presumably, there's something to be said for it.
I mean, yes. Cavaliers in general at the moment, I think, are the main thing. Although, it's just one game. You can't really be like, oh yeah, this is the best thing in the game because it won a lobby.
I guess it does depend on what people are playing. I would say as well, it did get 3 out of the 4 top slots, so that's That's enough of a data point for me to be like,
Yeah, they're okay. I wouldn't say they're completely meta-defining. But yes, they're not bad, is how I'll say it.
In fact, why don't we come back to us? Waha!
Oh, dear.
Faces!
Oh dear, it's my face.
Yes, faces across the place. The cat pictures. Oh my gosh, where are the cat pictures? That's an excellent question. I'll have to source some cat pictures. Well, I don't suppose you have any cat pictures going spare?
Not at the moment.
Oh no. We might be facing a riot on our hands. Here you go. Here's a picture of a cat. Alright, so, lovely faces aside. So we've got the controversial idea of, can we take one game to be the be-all and end-all of everything? Is it defensive stats plus carry? I mean, we're going to break shortly, but I guess, is there anything we can take from round 1 into rounds 2?
Honestly, not really. I think these players already have most of what they know from playing on the ladder anyway. It's obviously a much bigger set of games, and yeah, one game can be decided by fluky rolls. Like, honestly, I feel that lobby was kind of just weak in general. I don't know if that's just because I'm comparing it to the lobbies I play in, and those tend to be fairly aggressive, or if that's just what it was. But yeah, people seemed fairly weak in that lobby, and so that allowed those defensive synergies to just roll over everyone.
Alright, so just before we do go to break, I'll post this in the Discord as well. For our new players joining in here today, you'll have the decision on our first RP giveaway. So if you could use the link found in the chat to enter in which one of our players made you feel the most welcome coming to today's casual competition. If you nominate them, they'll be put into a draw at the end to win a bunch of RP. Everyone will get a chance to be entered into one of these draws, which will announce how it's going to work at the end of the competition. But this one's for new players, directed towards the pre-existing players who helped you feel most at home here. We'll be changing these giveaways up every week, and they're all thanks to rix.gg. So please do go check them out. In fact, yeah, there we go. There's the Rix command in the chat. But we shall return in just a short amount of time for round number 2. We're going to get all the admin stuff done as well. So hurrah for that. I'll see you guys on the other side.
Back and forth has got me so messed up. Don't ignore the signs. We've had enough of the whole damn thing that we got going. You hold the strings without me knowing. Why do I have to suffer through the thinking? Why do I have the feeling that we're sinking? I need to find a way. let's ignore the feelings that I found in this whole damn thing that we got going. You hold the strings without me knowing. Why do I have to suffer through the thinking? Why do I have the feeling that we're sinking? I need to find a way. Find a way. Find a way. Find a way out. Find a way out. Find a way out. Find a way out. Find a way out.
I got enough of every melody, they all sound the same. Yeah. For my broken heart, no remedy, but maybe if you stay, we can get away with it. 'Cause you make me love my imperfections, answer all my questions, just to show me what's on the other side of inhibition. No apologies, my baby. I do you do 'cause I'm feeling so good. Ooh. I do you do 'cause I'm feeling so good. Ooh. Oh, my darkest memories now let me fall back. But you'll be there, ready to rescue me if I go out of track. We can get away with it. 'Cause you make me love my imperfections, answer all my questions, just to show me what's on the other side of inhibition. No apologies, my baby. I do you do 'cause I'm feeling so good. What's on the other side of inhibition? Ooh, I do you do 'cause I'm feeling so cool.
On this journey we will find our souls begin to intertwine. Your heart of gold, so pure, divine, and I lost myself within the fire, breaking free from my desire. A heart of gold, forged to inspire. It's starfire. It's starfire.
Welcome back, everyone. It's time for round number 2. With
I don't exist.
oh no, Problem Blob. Where's your camera
Ah.
gone?
It should still be working.
Oh, how strange. Wait, let me reload the Blob cam. Let's see if it will. There we go.
I'm back.
I don't know what happened. All right. So we're about to get into round number 2. So we saw a lot of defensive play in lobby 1. So in lobby 2, Yucca won the whole thing with a skirmisher setup with a 3-star Jax and 3-star Lucian. So I have to assume that overrides your previous concerns about skirmishers maybe being a little bit underperforming.
Oh yeah. If you can hit 3-star Jax, 3-star Lucian, then yes, skirmishers are good. I think just hitting 3-star Jax in general means that they're probably playable. But you know, if you're not hitting those 3-star 4 costs, then yeah, stay away from it.
Okay, so we're gonna have ourselves our next lobby in just a second, so let me get ourselves sorted out with that. But while we do, so for any of our players who haven't answered already, any of our new players, please do check out the chat where we will have a link to what's going on with that first giveaway. So trying to reward players who make our new players today feel welcome. So we're going to switch across. I think we'll stay in lobby 1 just because we've got the most players there. Just seeing who we've got on stream. Oh, Yucca we have got back again. Thunderfry we've got as well. So appreciate all of you guys for helping out on the streaming side. And we will be doing one of the giveaways to acknowledge that. So we've got 3 POVs. I'll just get that set up for all of us there. So Wolf will be in the other lobby. Mr. Duck will be in the other lobby as well. As will be Death Belingus. So Jevenoir? I don't know. We can make some guesses how to actually say this person's stream name, but
It's always tricky pronouncing people's names.
alright, into round number 2. Sponsored by Rix.gg. So let's see what we've got on the table here. So we've got our point of view players, the Thunderfighter, Skiller, and Jevenoir. So Thunderfighter and Skiller returning from the last lobby. And I'll have a quick look and see what did Jevenoir play. They are otherwise known as Yucca. And they, yes, of course, we just talked about them. They were the skirmisher player with the 2 3-stars. So how important, or how powerful, I guess, maybe, is it to have the 3-star Jax, the 3-star Lee Sin?
I mean, 3-star Lee Sin is obviously very, very good on his own. Typically in the Yasuo comp that we talked about, you also go for 3-star Lee Sin because he's just such a good unit. And obviously 3-star Jax, once you get him for 3-star, he is actually like a good unit. He has the tanky stats, he has the offensive stats to actually cut through people in a timely manner. And so if you're looking to do well with skirmishers in any capacity, then yes, they are basically mandatory.
Hey, Yeti1, how's it going? And also, I'm glad you guys managed to find the counterfeit emotes. They are truly the most beautiful thing in the world. Just to touch back on that Lee Sin point from before, I'm sure we'll be seeing Lee Sin turn up again. From my understanding, Lee Sin wasn't really being seen a tremendous amount in the previous set. Was Lee Sin changed in a substantial way?
Oh no, he was just he wasn't changed, and he was seen in the previous set. The Yasuo comp was a thing, and he was very, very powerful. I know some of the people who I talked to, so some of the other UK players, like very, very much like are proponents of Lee Sin, and they are like, oh yeah, he's like the best 3-cost you can play, and he will carry your early game or whatever. So he was seen, he was powerful, and he hasn't been changed, and so he is still seen and powerful.
Yeah, I mean, certainly been seeing a lot more people kind of really heavily itemizing the Lee Sin to, have Morella number come, because the splash off of the ability cast from Lee Sin is surprisingly large, covering, it's almost Sejuani. Well, I guess it's one's hex smaller.
It's just 2 hexes. It's the same as Rel, if you want a perspective on it. But obviously Rel casts on like 2 units at the same time and does also a stun. But it's a surprisingly large AoE. And so, for example, it will hit opposing Yasuo who have an RFC and still slow them. So it's a very powerful slow. And it will decide a lot of matchups, for sure.
So let's check in with what we've got early on. So Legionnaire Nightbringer for Thunderfry using the Yasuo from very early, but we've got a nice item holder Olaf being set up here by Yerka. So Bloodthirster and Last Whisper. What are we thinking that's going to go into later on?
Well, really the main place you go with that is you just go Lucian. You just go 6 Sentinels, you play Lucian, and then you're happy. Obviously, you could theoretically go into just normal skirmishes, but as I've said, I do not rate skirmishes at all, so I doubt they're going to do that. But yeah, I think I mentioned before, they had the 3 skirmisher, they had the 3 Sentinel. Strongest level 4 board in the game.
So what's Skiller up to here? So they've gone strong front line, strong back line. But oh no, let's see, we were just scouting there. So instead we've got Khorne, who is going for some early Dawnbringers. There isn't quite up to Dawnbringer 4 as of yet. It's strong enough though, with just sheer numbers to overwhelm Thunderfry. And I think Khorne has... Let's just check. Yes, they haven't lost a round so far. Neither has Skiller. So we have our 2 front runners coming onto this first carousel.
Yeah. The typical strategy of people who are win streaking are like, oh, actually Skiller lost. People who are win streaking are like, okay, I want to be able to win this round for sure. And maybe even beat other 100% HP people. And well, they are the only 100% HP person. Leveling to 5 allowed them to play a much stronger board, and it definitely paid off.
So, oh, that's the person who was coming in. It was Saucy. So Saucy has been a previous Casual Competition player. So, hey, really cool to see them in here as well and joining in. Also, does some pretty great singer. Did a wonderful song for a previous esports team, the Uwu Woo Woos, when we won.
Yes.
When we won a competition.
Perfect name.
It is the best name. I'm going to try and resurrect them at some point because it's too good of a name to let lie. Alright, we spent a lot of time with Thunderfry, so we know that they've got a very good Nightbringer setup, having found themselves Elise in, and apparently being very pleased about it. And as other Nightbringers as well. So we haven't talked about Jivanoir or Yerka directly for a while, so they've got their Olaf item carrier, and they're doing pretty darn well off of it.
Yeah, this fight looks a bit close, but it is good to remember that Olaf gets stronger the lower health he is. His attack, I think his attack speed increases. I'm not sure about the heal. Along with BT as well, he will be healing a lot and sustaining a lot at low HP. So it's kind of deceptive. You're like, oh, this Olaf is quite low. He's going to die. But then he doesn't because he's strong enough.
Yeah, it's kind of strange when you're used to the older sets and you kind of remember, oh, Olaf used to have built-in lifesteal, used to have built-in AoE, used to have built-in crowd control immunity, now has none of those things, but does have that whole thing of getting more attack speed as you get lower. I believe the heal stays static, so it's actually, I think, AP based as well.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
So I guess it's to try and prevent Olaf from becoming that one-cost dominant carry that you would just use the whole way through the game.
Although, I mean, what I do want to talk about is One Winged Bullet has 4 2-star units, 2 of them being 2-cost, which is kind of insane, if you ask me. And I know we were talking about earlier how synergies are great and all, but bigger units are good, and we see that right here. That's an incredibly strong board right there.
And that's with One Winged Bullet having not used, I think, maybe any of their items. They've suddenly got a ton of them on the bench, and they're about to get some more as well. So One Winged Bullet is currently up at 96, so very much in a strong position coming in to stage number 3. We have a little bit.
Yeah, you don't need to use your items if you have that many 2-stars. Obviously, people like stunning items. because winning early, like even with the introduction of the blessing, winning early is still very much what people like doing. So slamming items, getting upgrades, all very much wanted things.
You can see Skiller there making use of a quick little reference sheet there to see all the Radiant items, so very much on their mind coming into Stage 3. Is you kind of end up in a slightly strange situation here where you don't want a 3-item necessarily your carry, because you know that you're going to potentially get even the same item coming up as a Radiant item just a little way down the line.
I mean, well, absolutely. And previously, you didn't really want to have 3 items on your carry by like Stage 3 or whatever the 3 carries that is. Because if you roll more offensive items on like the next couple of creep rounds, then you're left with a bunch of just dead items. And that's kind of not really what you want going on. So typically you'll want to just get defensive items. You'll pick up, like, say, a chain vest here if you've already got like 2 full defensive items. And the Radiant Blessing, not the Radiant Blessing, the Radiant items absolutely exasperate that. So yes, you really don't want to just have no real choices and then just lose.
Well, I think Skiller is going to struggle here because you mentioned before, the Knights being able to shrug up a lot of the damage from, DPS units, so little bits of damage over time. In this case, for Skiller, they've been relying on the Rangers, which, they are trying to ping away almost 1 HP at a time. Did not work well against Olaf, but Skiller's still left in a pretty good position. Certainly, Saucy's having a bit more trouble. They themselves going for Skirmishers, and one of my favourite items for Olaf, which is Sequence's Rageblade.
Yeah, Rageblade obviously very, very good. Also synergizes quite nicely with the Sentinel synergy, which gives a big burst of attack speed. And that'll just catapult you up to ridiculous levels when combined with Rageblade. Although, actually, I'm really not sure. We also see a Rageblade here on the Ashe, which synergizes nicely with the Rangers as well. A lot of attack speed in this lobby. I'm not entirely sure where Skiller's going to go with this build. Do you have any ideas?
Oh gosh, I'm not sure. It feels like, at any point Skiller could just chuck in these Rangers and try and find something else. Though, just having one Gwyneth's Rageblade doesn't give it an enormous amount of direction, I would think. They're holding the Rangers on the bench, so I don't know if we're in a world where there's maybe a full Ranger comp in their future. If they think they're going to get, good return off the Rangers, which right now are doing merely okay.
I mean, yeah. From what I know, and this is mostly just set 5 knowledge, is the Rangers are really hard to play. If you want to pick a difficult build, the Rangers are there for you. I think it's just because there's a lot of expensive things. Like, you want to play Aphelios, right? Aphelios is the Ranger. Oh, I suppose Akshan now is also the Ranger. So you want to play a 4 cost or 5 cost. You want to play, like, good defensive units. And typically they're all very expensive. So pivoting this to a full Ranger build, I'd be impressed if Skiller pulls this off without bleeding a lot of HP.
Well, the Jax is certainly giving an alternate route to go through, the Gwyneth's Rageblade, kind of replicating the built-in ability that Jax has, but it's not necessarily the worst thing in the world. Up against Rain from Rix.gg, our sponsor for today, who has got themselves an interesting setup here with Hellions. Now, Hellions did get some small changes, more Hellions joining the lineups, and a breaking now at 2, 4, 6, and 8, rather than 3, 5, and 7 as they were before.
Yeah, absolutely. And I actually think, if I remember correctly, Hellions are, like, the reroll Hellions is one of the best comps in the game. I'm not actually quite sure what its statistics are, but it's definitely very high. And, okay, I was looking it up. It's like 4.1 is its current placement. So if you get a good Hellion start and you've got the items, you've got the units, reroll Hellions is a pretty good build.
I've certainly been trying it because, Hellions does seem to be one of those sort of parts of the game that are very neglected by anybody who's not playing them. So it feels like a lot of the time you're not really having to fight other players to get Hellions in the first place. But let's see if we can check around. So we've got the Skiller with a good setup here. Ashe has just reached 2-star. We are 1 round off of hitting Radiant items, so of course we'll be taking in Radiant items for all of our players here. But so Thundercry or Let's see. Do you want to go for Thunderfry or?
Let's go for Thunderfire. We haven't seen them in a while. There does look like they've hit the Yasuo too. They are being like good players, scouting around. I'm very proud of them. Though, yeah, they've gone for 4 Nightbringer here. They are level 6 with the Yasuo too, which is very nice. And yeah, this is a pretty respectable setup, and you can see that they're like doing decently on HP. 78, 3-5. Yeah, you're pretty happy with that. And they've got decent items. The only issue is that a lot of the items on the bench, the rod, the tear, the sword, what are you going to do with those? Because you need a lot of bows for this Yasuo build, and you've only got 1 so far. Probably picks up a defensive item here, and just hopes it's good enough. Honestly, I think that should be like Shroud of Reverence in this comp, because getting Yasuo to his first cast, I think, is really important, so he starts doing the true damage as fast as possible.
Yes, that's one of the ones I think a lot of people have been kind of sleeping on. Certainly around the kind of level I play, which is not particularly high, but sort of, I guess, mid-level, is the Shroud of Reverence, you know, giving a massive Shroud effect, but also giving plus 15 mana to the rest of the team. But it won't be that, it's going to be pure damage for Thunderfry. Oh my gosh, that's a choice.
It really is a choice, because now they've still got 2 offensive items on their bench. They really do not have a defensive item to go by. Like, the Yasuo is strong, don't get me wrong. The Radiant Death Cap gives 110 ability power, which obviously multiplies with Nightbringer, which is, I think, a 40% damage buff at 4. It might be a 30%, don't quote me. So yeah, it obviously gives a lot of damage, but as you saw there, the Ashe was able to tear through the team. There just wasn't enough defensive capability for this Yasuo to really ramp up.
I think what we're kind of missing here from the traditional rapid fire cannon for Thunderfry, and why this is so much more risky, is that this Yasuo is, you know, has got effectively 3 offensive items, but will be up in melee range of the opposing team. So every time somebody dies, all of the backline units are going to start retargeting. And I think a lot of time where they're going to end up retargeting is Yasuo. I don't know if he's going to be strong enough, even with the Hexnet Gunblade, to stay up under focus fire.
And now it feels really bad because he just hit a bow off the wolves.
Yes.
So the chances of him hitting a RFC now is actually pretty high. Oh, that's a lot of Yasuos. So yeah, it's a bit unfortunate. And like the other thing without an RFC is that this positioning with RFC, it's fine. Like Yasuo walks up a little bit and is okay. But without RFC, it's very easy for Yasuo to just go on a walkabout and just not do anything. I don't know if we'll see that here. But yeah, look at him go. He spent a good 4 seconds of this fight just walking. And with how explosive fights are in TFT, that's just unacceptable and probably loses you the fight here.
Well,
although I might be wrong on that one and he might just win.
Yeah, it kind of worked out in a roundabout way. So Yasuo stayed out of trouble for most of the round, but though didn't actually do too much. And ultimately, I have to wonder if... So with the Hextech Gunblade, does that heal off of his basic attacks then?
It heals basic attacks that do true damage, yes. Specifically the true damage part.
So, I don't know, maybe we'll get to be surprised. It's worth noting that we do have the item remover on bench for Thunderfry, so if they do decide that they don't want to go this route with their Yasuo anymore, they can just remove the items and potentially, you know, put in a rapid fire cannon later on if they want to go down that route. But hey, it worked against Saucy. If we look at the table overall, Yoko is in first place with 86 and Skilla just behind them. Thunderfire POV and 1 Winged Bullet and Nasal Spray all in the high 60s. Then Korn before dropping down to Rain and Saucy. So they're both in quite a lot of trouble in the early going. We need to see a big comeback from either of them. We'll look out for what kind of comps they're running.
Absolutely. And you can see that Thunderfire has slightly edited their positioning a little bit so that Yasuo now always walks to the right, which I think is very sensible. And hopefully will be good enough against this slightly better comp of the comp they literally just played. The one issue with having healing on auto attacks, right, is if you get stunned, you just die. as we saw there with the cannon stun, and then Lucian just fires all his bullets into Yasuo, and that's about it.
Yeah, so I suppose that's the thing that you kind of get away with when you've got a rapid fire cannon, is you're not in direct base-to-base contact with the CCing units that would, the front line is a whole mess of crowd control. We've got even the example here of Sejuani and the like, who are just ready to crowd control anyone who's standing directly in front of them. So it's a high risk, high reward strategy, especially if Thunder Fry can hit themselves up to the higher levels. They've got Lee Sin coming in at 2 stars, so that's the AoE. Gwen as well certainly would do very well with those Yasuo items that are there right now. But I guess
yeah.
If we're in
Gwen level 7, not bad.
That means Mystic's in as well, so that helps amp up those defense stats. Oh, here we go. So Rain, what are they up to? They've gone for a Legionnaire? I'm not sure.
I don't know what this build is. Some kind of jank is, I think, how I describe it. Like, Death Cap, the Radiant Death Cap on a Pike, Warmogs on Misfortune.
So I do actually have some insight as to what that could be about.
Yeah.
So the reason why you see our Warmogs on the Misfortune is because there's a somewhat goofy strategy that has been making the rounds, which is that Sentinels, the way the Sentinel ability works is kind of weird. It goes,
yeah, I know where you're going to go with this.
Yeah, it goes on to the highest health unit. So normally speaking, you wouldn't actually get the Sentinel shield onto your backline carries until the end of the fight, because it starts off on the highest health unit, then goes to the lowest percentage health, which generally isn't going to be your backline. So you don't get its benefit of the attack speed until the very end. So by having the Warmogs on, say, a Lucian, then it effectively turns itself into a Zeke's, the Shadow Zeke's from previous sets, just by getting the Sentinel buff immediately.
And yes, that is absolutely correct. However, the first buff of the Sentinel thing is only on Sentinel units. So it does not work if you give it to a Misfortune who is not a Sentinel.
Yes.
Which is why I was confused about it. Like, it makes sense on a Lucian, absolutely, and is a funny tech you can do. It also helps that it's like your backline is now tankier and doesn't just get one shot. But yeah, it's definitely weird on the Misfortune herself.
Yes, I believe the kind of path you can go there is to put it onto Aurelia in the early going, though you will have to then find a second 2-star Aurelia to replace her once you take the item off. But yeah, you're right. At the moment, it's not ideal. One winged bullet. They've got themselves a redeemed comp here, which is working moderately well. As we noted before, if Yasuo does get CC'd in trouble, but he hasn't gotten CC'd as of yet. I think one winged bullet is going to run out of units before they really get access to anything more significant.
Yeah, it doesn't help when your carry is a 1-star 2-cost and it's stage 4-5 and you're playing against like 2-star 3-cost itemized carries, and people even have 4 costs at the moment. So yeah, one with bullet really needs to hit either just more Syndras if you're going for Syndra 3 carry, or just, a Vel'Koz.
Alright, so let's take a look around. I'll walk on the wild side. Let's check in with Yakin here, who... So they've gone for the 6 Sentinel. Sentinel certainly calling back to set 5, where you could just kind of pick a synergy and ride it out the whole game long. Sentinel's present from the very beginning to the very end, up against Nasal Spray here, who has gone for the Cavalier Misfortune setup with a Radiant Jeweled Gauntlet, so should be hitting like an absolute truck.
Well, it would be hitting like an absolute truck if it weren't for this Radiant Bramblefest on the Galio, who completely negates all of that crit damage. Which is, a little bit of a counter, and I'm sure that Jerk is going to be pretty happy they picked that one up.
So, I'm trying to remember, does the Bramblevest negate all of the actual damage, or just the amount that critted?
Just the amount that critted. I believe the old Thornmail just negated the entire thing, or was it Phantom Dancer? That when you got crit, you just dodged the entire attack.
Oh yes, so yeah, I think you're right, that's going back quite a way.
Yeah, that's a really long time ago. Yeah, so it's just the extra crit damage. It's as if it was a normal hit, which when you have all the extra crit damage from the Radiant Jeweled Gauntlet, makes it feel like you didn't do any damage at all.
Alright, so I like the setup here. We've got 3 Ironclad, the 4 Sentinels, so it's worth noticing that and this is something of a puzzlement myself, that you don't really get a huge amount of benefit out of, anything apart from 3, 6, or 9 Sentinels, because the shield will bounce to non-Sentinels after that first initial proc.
Yeah, so you're just playing them for the units themselves. So you're playing the Senna because you want to have a Cannoneer. You're playing the Olaf for your like skirmisher synergy. And honestly, I very much expect these two to just get removed for 4 knights, because I believe that the plan here is to go 4 knights, three sentinel, and just sit on that. Oh, that's an action as well. But I mean, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they just stay with four sentinel. They're on 5 sentinel now, which feels kind of bad. Because you're sat here like I could play like something over this Jax, and it'd be fine. But oh well.
So, interesting setup here. So, we were wondering what Skiller was going to end up playing. They ended up playing they did in fact end up playing a Ranger comp with Aphelios and Akshan. So, it's kind of a little bit of a mirror match here. I think it's going to ultimately work out in the favor of Yurka, because Lucian's targeting is kind of interesting. It ended up actually killing off Aphelios in its entirety.
Yeah, Lucian targeting, especially if you're on like the same side as Lucian, like as in they're like completely facing each other. Lucian can really mess you up, because he quite easily just sneaks past your backline. No, not your backline. You can just sneak past the front line, especially if like your front line is just like 2 units. He'll just like avoid them and just burst down your backline. And yeah, as we saw, the Aphelios didn't really stand much of a chance there, did he?
No, it's. I think it's one of those things that really, it's interesting to have entering the game of TFT. More positional concerns where you can't just have the same setup. So you aren't just worried about being assassinated, but you've also got to worry about Lucian just firing that stream of bullets directly at your carry. And I kind of feel like any round in which that happens is a round you really just can't win.
So I think we're going to see something very similar happen here, firing at this Vel'Koz.
Let's see. So
he's firing at the Cinder instead. That's a pretty good positioning from one wing bullet, having a extra unit there, so that Lucian is not just murdering your backline.
Yeah, so that's something to really watch out for. It's going to be pretty tight here. The shots, yeah. In this case, yeah, I think the setup one wing bullet is a pretty good example of how to position against that kind of setup there, because Vel'Koz made it through the entire round unscathed, and if Lucian can't make that effectively assassination, then I don't know what you really can do.
I think what you can do is go Lucian 2. Because really he's not doing very much as a 1-star. 1-star 4-cost carry versus 2-star 4-cost carry. That's I think a fairly foregone conclusion there.
Let's take a look across at Thundercry, because they've just hit their 3-star Yasuo. So they've got themselves the Lee Sin Yasuo setup, which we've seen it many times before, up against the Redeemed comp we just saw in our previous round. Let's see how this 3-star Yasuo does.
Theoretically, he should do fairly well, because, it's true damage versus resistances. But we'll have to see, because he is just kind of walking into this stun and then the subsequent Vel'Koz ult. So I could see him just die here. Although, yeah, it looks like he's strong enough to not.
Yes.
Casual 10,000 damage.
I know, Rain going out in this round. And one wing bullet, and Saucy both in peril as well. So heading into the next round, we did see that Cavalier spat coming in clutch for Skiller in the previous round. There's a little bit of raw defensive stats, and one wing bullet will be right on it.
Cavalier spat, I think, is probably the most, obviously apart from Font, the most wanted spat item in the game. Obviously, this is the chain vest carousel, so, people are rushing for that, because Cavaliers are just such a good defensive synergy.
Alright, so we've got our defensive items left behind and lonely, because we've only got ourselves 7 remaining players. As Thunderpro, using the Hellion spatula there, I think it did actually come in clutch in the previous round, because the Hellions were left standing, actually taking some of that Vel'Koz aggro by respawning as the 1-star versions of themselves.
It's quite funny that Thunderfire put the J on down. I was like, wait, no, I want this on Lee Sin. So luckily had the magnetic remover, was able to take it off. So no harm, no foul, I guess.
Nobody saw nothing. Alright, up against Korn, who has got themselves the Jax up. So it's 2-star Jax against 3-star Yasuo.
Yasuo wins these. It's not even close. Yasuo is like an actual carry, whereas Jax isn't.
So what's Jax missing that Yasuo has then?
Power. Like you can see that Yasuo will like cut through units in like 2 or 3 autos there, whereas Jax, like he will hit a Hecarim like 70 times and do 2 damage to it. That's essentially the difference, is that Jax cannot cut through basically any front line, whereas Yasuo obviously can because of the true damage.
It doesn't seem like so far we've really seen Thunderfry being, overly punished for not having any defensive items on the Yasuo, because I think it looks like if we're looking around at the different lobbies or different boards here, we're seeing a lobby which seems to be focused mostly on pure damage over a heavy crowd control.
Yeah, so this is what I was talking about earlier. Like, you can't just be like, oh yeah, one lobby, therefore defensive stuff is the best. As you can see in this lobby, this is a very offensive lobby. And that's just how the cookie crumbles, I guess.
Well, let's see how they do up against Nasal Spray, who is level 7 to Thunderfry's level 8, and Diana is perfectly positioned there to be very, very disruptive. The front line, Hecarim does not survive in the face of all that raw damage. So Nasal Spray will get knocked down, though not out. Keep an eye on Saucy and one-winged bullets. Saucy, it's going to be a little tight towards the end here, but no, she survives for another round. While one-winged bullet heads out. Skiller going down to 9 means we got 2 players out, 2 more in the danger zone.
Absolutely. This is as you can actually see, weirdly enough, in the previous lobby we saw, everyone was super, super low at like 5-3. But in this lobby, there's like 4 people above 20 HP going into Sage 6, which is essentially having 2 lives. So it's just that apparently, okay, yeah, I guess it's just that obviously this is an offensive lobby. So all these things just like do loads of this damage, kill everything quickly, and there's very few survivors left over.
Alright, so let's see. So Thunderfry getting another Frozen Heart should help prop up that front line, especially having a Frozen Heart in the vicinity of a Yasuo seems like a good shout. But Nasal Spray hits 3-star Misfortune.
Well, that's a lot of 3 stars.
Oh boy, it's Roll Down City. Population, everybody.
It is quite funny, Thunderfry having all these Frozen Hearts. Obviously it helps a lot, but you got attack speed slow from 2 Frozen Hearts and also from Lee Sin, so a little bit of redundancy there, but yeah, maybe that'll be good enough.
I don't think those
especially against something like an Aphelios.
Alright, well you've got coverage on front and back line with the Frozen Heart there, which is very good against Skiller, especially considering that these rangers want to be attacking a whole bunch. Yep, once the backline is accessed by that Yasuo, it's all over for Skiller. This is going to be a big loss. Oh wait!
Is it?
Is it?
Lulu coming in clutch there, right there, and stunning the entirety of the team.
Wow,
and
-1.
Unlucky Skiller.
Saucy and Skiller going out in 5th and 6th respectively. Skiller only by 2 points of health. We're down to our top 4. As I do apologize for the joyful sounds of children outside. Ugh, kids having a good time. Ugh, the worst.
Imagine children existing. What a terrible time. I thought Thunderfry was just going to click the surrender button there. That would have been an interesting end to this match. Especially with how good a situation they're in. They're kind of just tearing up everyone right now.
Oh boy. So let's see. Who can challenge Ryuka? So it's another backline carry setup there where the Diana's going to jump directly onto the backline. Oh boy, I'm thinking that some of our players here need to really be taking account of where this Diana is going and trying to at least make it a 50-50, because right now their backline carries are getting demolished.
Yeah, this is just good positioning from Thunderfry. Clearly they're just scouting their opponents and just being like, okay, yeah, you have your backline here. I'll put my Diana there as well. Have fun. And their opponents are not having fun. And it's looking like it's just a bit of a blowout. Maybe this infinite 3 stars on this Misfortune carry and offer some challenge to Thunderfry.
So I did notice that Nasal Spray was moving Misfortune around on the backline, so they seem like they're trying to avoid getting jumped on by Diana. And in this case here, with the Skirmisher line, we've not really got anyone to get jumped on, so that's something. Thunderfry's got a ton of HP though, a 5-round win streak. They have got many, many players they've personally taken out. Let's see how they do against Korn, who they could knock out in this round.
Probably going to be fairly reasonable fight here because, again, it's Jax versus Yasuo. Yasuo is just the better unit. And yeah, I don't think this is going to be particularly close. The Yasuo and the Viego are already dead. The Lee Sin's slow was just too much. And yeah, that's kind of it. I'm pretty sure Nasal Spray was also playing Korn, and not surprising that it's these two in the end.
Alright, so yeah, Nasal Spray still stays alive as Thunderfire picks themselves up a little bit more attack speed. Hopefully we'll find in a second. Ah, there we go. More damage coming in for Nasal Spray. So it's attack all the time versus punch you in the face extremely hard. Leveling up to level 9 to finish out the lobby here. What's the final piece of the puzzle?
What's the final piece of the puzzle? You could play Jax here. You could play just Nautilus. What I think is the best thing to play, though, is just another Mystic. Because you're against an AP comp, therefore you should play Mystics. It's a little bit simplistic, but I don't think it's unreasonable.
Well, I mean, it makes a lot of sense, especially considering how much more magic resist you get going from 2 to 3 and 3 to 4 indeed. Though we do have to bear in mind, we have got a Draven here who, if they roll the right items, can provide at least some amount of AD threat. Yasuo is into the backline again. Diana doing fantastic work to be disruptive, and Yasuo, I mean, I feel like we've really been shown the light here. This Yasuo was set up with the Rabadons and the Hextech Gunblade, actually doing fantastically well.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it helps that the positioning here is quite convenient, and that the Yasuo is able to get onto the backline so easily. Obviously, also the Diana was on the backline. I feel this game is more of just Thunderfry just outplaying everyone else, rather than... I mean, obviously they picked a very, very strong comp as well, but I think it's mostly just positional outplays from Thunderfry.
Yeah, I mean, we've been seeing that, you know, because we can see their own POV, and can see the actual particular scouting they're going for here. So, has Nasal Spray changed? Yes, they have. So they switch sides, and the Shroud goes across most of Thunderfry's lineup. So this is the best it could be for Nasal Spray. They get the ults off repeatedly with the Misfortune. Yasuo, though, is healing through and chunking out most of the squad. But once Yasuo goes down, I think it's going to be the end of the round there. So we get to see the difference that positioning makes.
Absolutely, and while Yasuo does have healing, Misfortune has anti-healing. So it is very tricky for Yasuo to actually do anything. There's Thunderfry just benching their entire team. Versus the Rift Herald. The Rift Herald won't know what hit them.
For someone who's not so well educated in these matters, is there a reason why someone will be kind of practiced at benching and unbenching their team quickly?
So there is some tech which is controversial, I think is the right word here. Okay. With the W key, right? So the W key will bench and unbench units. And specifically, it unbenches units on the left side, the bottom left, and then the first one goes in the bottom left, the second one goes one to the right of that, and so on and so on. So if you wanted to reposition your backline from the right to the left, you spam W on them in the order where you want them to go, and then W again on the bench, and it's very, very fast. Essentially, that's the only tech you can do, and some people don't like it. But yes. That's the way you can do benching and unbenching. And Thunderfry once again gets got by the positioning here, and I think this is going to be another loss for the Yasuo comp.
Yeah, well, if Yasuo, especially as you mentioned before, gets CC'd, and they do there, the Volley Bear CC coming through, Yasuo gets exploded. Yeah, Nasal Spray I think maybe they actually did that specific switch you were talking about there, because they changed positioning on the Misfortune ridiculously fast.
Yeah, absolutely. The thing you can do... Oh, wait, there's actually a thing here for Thunderfry. I don't know what they're going to take here, because these are all kind of bad. Maybe another Hellion. Who knows? Or a Knight. So. I don't know.
It's not like an incredibly discount version of a Guardian Angel, I suppose.
Indeed. So, I mean, there is a thing you can do. If you pick up a unit and then press Q to be on someone else's board, you can just hover over their board and see what they're doing. Although, doesn't matter here, did successfully get the Diana in the right spot. Let's see if this makes all the difference in the end. Getting that attack speed slow.
We've still got the CC to worry about. Yes, I think getting CC on Miss Fortune herself is also equally strong. Yasuo does die, though the Misfortune goes down in the process, so it's down to actually pretty sprightly selection of
I think it's
random
over, right?
units. Yeah, wow.
It is.
Nasal Spray at level 8 beats out Thunderbright at level 9. You can see someone was trying to ban one of the other players in the lobby. So that's a whole thing, but yeah, wow, what a game.
I think the difference maker in that final fight was the Volibear removing the Nightbringer shield, meaning that Yasuo was just that much more fragile.
Wow, really nicely
So
done.
really good tech right there.
All right, let's come back to our beautiful faces.
Oh,
Hurrah! It us. So there we go. It's 3-star City in first and second place. So I will now make the hot take to you once more. Probablob is going for 3-star carries, the new hotness.
Well, I mean, really depends what you mean by new, because reroll has been the entirety of the meta since 5.5 has come out. So yes, essentially. And
Right.
there were several reroll comps we haven't seen so far, which I don't expect to see at all, but I'd be excited if we do see them.
Alright guys, so we've got one more round coming up. For anyone who hasn't already, who is a new player playing today, please do answer the questionnaire in the chat. We will be doing a final giveaway as well after that last round. So just to catch you guys up, you may be not playing today's competition. So there's 2 giveaways based on the tournament. Well, I guess 1 giveaway based on the tournament itself. So if you come first, you're going to get 10 little Legends eggs, thanks to Maisie Marzipan. And 1 random player will also get 10 little Legends eggs. We've got the extra RP prizes, which will first of all go to nominated players who are welcoming 2 new players this time, different quests every week. We then got our streamer prize, which will go to a random person who was streaming today and providing a POV, because we need streams to be able to do the tournament at all. And a third one yet to be revealed. Either way around it, though, we'll catch you guys in about 7 minutes time for our final round of play. So don't go anywhere, and we'll see you soon.
I got enough of every melody, they all sound the same. Yeah. For my broken heart, no remedy, but maybe if you stay, we can get away with it. 'Cause you make me love my imperfections, answer all my questions, just to show me what's on the other side of inhibition. No apologies, my baby. I do you do 'cause I'm feeling so good. Ooh. I do you do 'cause I'm feeling so good. Ooh. Oh, my darkest memories, now let me fall back. But you'll be there, ready to rescue me if I go out of track. We can get away with it. 'Cause you make me love my imperfections, answer all my questions, just to show me what's on the other side of inhibition. No apologies, my baby. I do you do 'cause I'm feeling so good. What's on the other side of inhibition? Ooh, I do you do 'cause I'm feeling so cool.
On this journey we will find our souls begin to intertwine. Your heart of gold, so pure, divine, and I lost myself within the fire, breaking free from my desire. A heart of gold forged to inspire. It's starfire. It's
Waste another day, eyes on my display. You say we need a change, and I feel that you mean it. You mean it.
Howdy, howdy, everybody, and welcome back to Canada's Casual Competition. It is time for our final round of play. Our players are getting ready. Bob, this is our first tournament on 5.5. How well do you feel like our players have adapted to their new and potentially scary environment?
I feel I've done okay. I mean, obviously everyone's learning. That's just the nature of there being all the new stuff. So I think they've done okay. Obviously, they're not rank 1 world level players. But not the worst thing in the world.
All right, Spen and Jenna, thank you for the follow. We are going to get into our last game of the day. Whoa! So I believe that we've got Wolf, whose stream is running a little bit behind, so we'll probably be mostly using the other three, though, because I think, unfortunately, they are actually in the previous game. That's how far behind they are, so I'll knock them out of our circulation for now, unfortunately. But thank you, Wolf, for trying there. Maisie did fall asleep in the chair, but ready for game 3. All right, Blob.
I mean, having a nap is always important. Don't want to be sleep deprived. Although it feels weird to have a nap like in the morning. But anyway, let's not talk about naps and talk about the game itself, as we are getting into the starting carousel.
All right, so
I don't know who we're actually looking at.
well, you can tell by looking at down at the bottom of your screen. This is Wumumu.
Ah, so is this?
So much love out to Wumumu, who's helping a lot in the start of the competition to get people organised and asking all the right questions and things. So we can only POV players who've got streams running. It looks like Wumumu has got a fairly substantial looking stream. They've got a whole setup there with their own Discord and everything.
Wow, that is very organised. And they have started with a Rod Leona. I think Rod is one of the more disliked starting items, just in general, because there aren't very many things that because people like having like one rod, maybe two, but if you end up getting like 3 or 4 rods, it becomes really, really difficult to actually use those items in an effective manner. So we'll have to see if Wumumu gets particularly unlucky in this game.
Oh, it looks like someone got left behind.
Oh dear.
That was...
As in, there's just didn't go into the lobby.
Let's just check to see. So, I'll just... Yes.
Oh, is this for the other lobby?
It is
Not
for the
the one
other
where it
lobby,
has
so the other lobby may not have started. I will just try and confirm if... no, the other lobby is... Sorry, this is the other lobby, isn't it?
Well, this is actually quite a very gold-intensive start here for Wumumu. And not sure where they're going with this. I do kind of want to shout out one of my favourite comps right now, which is reroll Callista Leona. Where Callista is your carry, you get 3-star Callista, you get 3-star Leona. And it's a lot of fun. Although, obviously, Wumumu not as much of a fan of it as I am, apparently. And we'll just go with the normal Dawnbringer start, I guess.
I'm trying to figure out what's... Am I going mad here?
Very possibly.
Let's see. Because I think we might be looking at 2 different lobbies, and I may have just gotten confused.
Mix and match lobbies, oh dear.
I mean, it seems like that might be the case. Let's see, so Hobo is supposed to be in the same... Hobo is not supposed to be in the same lobby as Wumumu, but they are.
Are they?
Yes, so based on the round 3 pairings, Hobo is definitely supposed to be in a different lobby than Wumumu, but...
I mean, I don't see them in this lobby, though, on the side.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on. I don't know what's going on! Alright, let's just check we've got everyone in here. So we've got Nasal Spray, Saucy, who is a late joiner. D-Wolf, so that's all fine. Corn, Rain, Skiller, Thunderfry. Okay, I think we're right. Sorry, I've gotten confused. Maisie, no, thank you for pointing out that something was going a bit right. It looks like it's been sorted out now. But yes, it did in fact break me because I started to question my own reality as I tried to make everything fit together, but it didn't work. All right, back to the game. This is why casters shouldn't reach out.
Exactly.
Streamers have to reach out because a lot of times stuff's broken, and so they have to try and fix it. All right. Yes, Maisie, I don't recommend casting, streaming, and adminning all at the same time. It's a recipe for destruction. So, since we last talked about them, what's Wumumu been up to?
Well, it looks like they're going for some kind of Dawnbringer start. They have actually got full Dawnbringer now if they wanted to go for it. I think a very reasonable player here is played full Dawnbringer, actually just level to 5 here, and just put in Brawlers. And then just bully people. So it looks like they're going for some kind of Dawnbringers, which is pretty okay comp. It's a weird one, where typically you want to play just a pivot into Heimerdinger, who is the best comp in the game right now. But also is quite tricky to do, so you might just stick with Karma the entire time. So yeah, not really sure about exactly what's going to happen here. Although what is going to happen is I think they're going to struggle against this from Rain. Very close. That's a level 5 diff.
I think Rain was trying to lost streak there because they have the misfortune in the front line.
Yeah, it looked like a very weird positioning. And maybe Rain was trying to lost streak, given they are on 86 HP. And so both of these players get exactly what they don't want. A lot of the issue with Wumu's positioning is that they all got caught by the misfortune. And so the Dawnbringer heal was just complete. Well, not completely, it was negated by 50%. So a lot of the power in Wumu's composition was just not there because the Soraka and the Nidalee were so close to the Gragas, who was the target. So a little bit unfortunate there, and may or may not have ruined Wumu's entire game.
It's a very strange world, isn't it? Where you've kind of got a unit that, if it exists in someone's composition, as we do see those brawlers coming in that you mentioned before, if someone's running a misfortune, you're losing out on a truly ludicrous amount of HP compared to a comp that's running literally anything else.
I mean, yeah, well, as I said, a lot of it was down to the positioning in that the Soraka and the Nidalee got hit when they really didn't need to be. But yeah, she does counter Dawnbringers, and I think part of that is why Dawnbringers are not considered super good, is because there's a lot of anti-heal. And yeah, anti-heal, it's not good for a comp that relies on healing a lot.
Yeah, and we expect we'll see more of that anti-heal turning up as we go. As up against Nasal Spray here, who has got themselves an interesting caster setup here, so I presume that we'll be, seeing those items transitioning off of the Zyra eventually, because the rest of the competition isn't, say, Abomination as we'd otherwise expect it to be.
I mean, yes, and also it's possible it's just it's just a matter of they haven't hit everything yet, and they're just trying to go Zyra 3 in general. But who knows? This is actually very interesting from Thunderfry.
So they're open forting, it looks like.
They're open forting, which is a dangerous strategy, but one that has high rewards, right? You get a lot of money. You can see that 40 gold. If you look around anyone else, I doubt anyone else is above 20. So yeah, 40 gold on a massive loss streak. 72 HP, honestly, not that bad. It's pretty bad. But honestly, as long as you're like above 60 HP by the time you get to Krugs with your open fort, you're in a good spot. And like, even went as far as to just frontline that Callista so as not to lose. Although I'm not sure why, because you have 3 units in, you're always going to lose everyone. Maybe it was worried about Rain being very weak as well.
Yes, I think that's the kind of conflict we've got running this lobby. Is both Rain and Thunderfry wants to open fort as much as possible. I guess it's more surprising with Rain just because they've got the setup where you could conceivably even be doing pretty well off of it with 2 completed items. But Thunderfry,
you would think so, wouldn't you? But maybe not. Well, the thing with open forting is you need to have a comp that you go for at 3-2. Because as you can see, Thunderfry is at 62 HP. If they don't, you can't open fort stage 2 and stage 3 because you will just die. So yeah, Thunderfry likely will go level 6 at 3-2 and make a comp there, but I'm not sure which comp they're going for. Maybe Misfortune. Now that they've hit this Misfortune, they've got very good items for it. So who knows? Also, that's a font.
Hey, not too shabby. Alright. I guess there aren't too many worlds in which you'd ever want to keep both spatulas and find a meaningful use for them, compared to just getting an extra free unit.
Yeah, Fawn is almost never wrong to just slam. As you can see, they just slammed it.
Can't argue with that kind of evidence. I mean, Thunderfry, you said they've got to make their big move here into the next comp coming up in the very near future. We did see, I believe, Skiller running a Yasuo already, and we've also, of course, seen the Misfortune run by Rain. So Thunderfry hasn't found an uncontested avenue to go down, but Korn has, because they've gone for Hellions in the early going.
And yeah, Hellions a pretty good start. They've got a Lulu 2 already, which is pretty powerful. I think most people would agree. It really like the attack speed buff and the CC from Lulu is kind of ridiculous. And you can see, I actually think that was a 4-0 there. It's always hard to tell with Hellions.
Yes.
But yeah, 52 HP, getting pretty low here, and yeah, needs to roll here and just come strong, because this is not a good enough comp right now.
So how risky can you play it here? I mean, you've got level 6. Do you roll at 6?
Yes.
But you've only got a 5% chance of hitting your 4 costs. Are you then just going to have to run a 3 cost carry comp?
Yeah, typically with Open Fort, you're going for a reroll comp. You're going for, say, reroll Cavaliers. You're going for the weird reroll Soraka Aurelia comp. You're going for reroll Hellions, maybe. We're typically going for reroll comp. And the fact that Thunderfry hasn't rolled here, honestly, I feel it's kind of disrespectful, maybe, to the rest of the lobby, saying, I'm fine. You guys aren't strong enough to punish me. And maybe they're right about it, because it seems like they're just winning this anyway. Or at the very least, they're going to lose by 1 unit. And, lose by 1 unit? I think they're actually pretty happy with that.
Yeah, I'm sure they're very, very happy. So they keep having it. Well, so there you go. We've got another misfortune coming in. So, exactly as you said, we've got some good, 2 obs. Now, potentially also Sejuani as well. As we've got a sneaky little Fiddlesticks getting in there. Not a tremendous amount of items for the Yasuo, but we have got a Shojin. What I would have otherwise presumably would have gone on the misfortune, but perhaps instead the idea of going for the Revenants, which feels like that's a very expensive competition to be hitting.
Yeah, this is an unusual direction to be taking. Maybe feels that they can't go for misfortune with it being contested. But like they sold the whatever the 2-cost knight was, Nautilus, which is a staple in this comp. So I guess they're not going for misfortune, and well, they're down at 40 HP, so they're going to get the blessing now.
That's true.
I'm just not sure what their direction is going to be.
I suppose with the blessing being in the game, this is definitely going to motivate people a lot more to take this risk now that they've got some kind of safety net of, as you said, potentially up to 50 gold coming in at this point to fuel a comeback.
Yeah, but also potentially 3 Reforges. So this might just be, I've lost all my HP and then I lose even more because I get nothing. So yeah, it's definitely a risk. It's the right way to describe it.
Alright, so what's that blessing going to be? We know Rain's got exactly this. It's not quite as bad as it could have been, but it's fairly close.
A remover. Yeah, like, that's not helping you. I mean, you find a Rel here, which is nice. And like, a tier is actually decent, but you've already got a tier from the carousel, so honestly, I feel this is a really, really bad spot for Thunderfry, and I don't exactly know what direction they're going to go with it afterwards.
Okay, I think I see what they're going for here. I think Thunderfry, with their loss streak continuing even after rolling down, is going to go for a level 7 roll down at the expense of most of their HP.
Yeah, level 7 roll down, but for what is the question? Because these items are very much like, they look like Heimerdinger items, essentially. But it's a bit early for Heimerdinger, you see. Although it does win this round, so, good enough. Yeah, if they can stabilize at 40 HP, then great. But I'm not sure if that's going to be possible.
Alright, we're cast the comp now. I'm just fascinated by the Fiddlesticks being brought in here, because we don't have Mystic, we don't have Revenant as well. So, you'd imagine that this would be very suboptimal compared to putting it on the Misfortune, but it seems to be working so far.
Yeah, Fiddlesticks is pretty strong if he goes off. It's just a matter of him going off or not. You can see that in the previous round he did go off, he did a lot of damage. But it's very easy for him to just die. Because his healing from it only happens when someone dies from his ultimate. So if no one dies, then that's better. Also, what is Green playing?
Looks like it looks. I would assume. So double. Oh wow! I've never seen someone go for a double rapid fire cannon before.
It's the Radiant one as well. They're the level 5. They haven't leveled. I don't know what synergies they're playing at all. But they are losing, and I think that's the important thing.
Okay, so they have got Jax coming. Jerain has just hit the 2-star Jax, so if they're going to come back, it's going to be in the very immediate future, because otherwise they're going to be dead. So best of luck to you, Rain. It looks like you're playing it very, very close to the wire. We'll check in with Skiller, who we haven't looked at for a while. So they've got themselves a rapid fire cannon, but they've also got the Runans to allow for this Yasuo to make a fairly big impact.
Yeah, this is the typical Yasuo comp we've seen. Although, like, this is a weird variant where they have 2 Ranger as well. Typically, this is not what people do, because, you know, that's just more backline. And while we did see in game 1, like, all frontline comp that did okay, all backline is just worse. Because, you know, it doesn't matter how much damage you're doing in the moment if you just die. Because these units are very, very squishy. So they've really got to rely on this Ivan and this Aurelia to tank up a lot of damage. And it seems like they did it.
Hey, well, there you go. Doing well. So, Saucy, though unfortunately we've only got to see them in losing rounds for the last couple of things, they actually have been doing pretty well for themselves. They're still up close to 60 HP, while Rain has unfortunately dropped out. So, yeah, well, the strategy they were going for unfortunately didn't pan out in the end. Maybe we'll get a chance to check in with them and see if they had something specific in mind, but for now, it's Radiant Thieves Gloves on the front line, Yasuo on the back, and then, yes, these Rangers hanging around, which I wondered if we might see a Aphelios come in to replace one of these Rangers and potentially, you know, get Nightbringer 4 going.
Yeah, that seems very reasonable. Because, you know, it's Nightbringer. You play over that and then play Sejuani. Yeah, okay, exactly this. This is how you get full Nightbringer in. I am kind of surprised that Skiller slammed Gunblade. I know Sword is very bad in this comp. You're like, I have nothing to do with the Sword. Why do I have this item? But Gunblade just honestly isn't that good with the Yasuo. Like, it's fine. The healing is okay. But you've got the RFC, you've got your Nightbringer shield. You'll probably be fine anyway. At least that's my opinion on it. So the healing here I don't think is going to be super relevant. Although maybe it'll be enough against this. Okay, it wasn't.
Yes, I think Skiller may be feeling a bit of the pressure there to complete those items, and I think we're seeing with the Abomination comp, I believe that with the Abomination player being D-Wolf. That does put Skiller into last surviving place, so there we go, there's the item remover and one component. So it actually wasn't the same component, but it was the same class.
Yeah, it's never the same component. Well, okay, it can be the same component, but yeah, it's just you get one component and it can be whatever. Obviously, if it's a spat, it's always a spat. Well, yeah, I feel this is a bit tricky for Skiller. Luckily, they do have the item remover, so if they do find something better in the future than this Gunblade, then, you know, there'll be something there. But
that's true.
What is going to happen here is that Yasuo is just going to get stolen by a Viego, which is never what you want to happen.
No, and it's pretty early in the game for Thunderfry, who is managing to get up to level 8, though they have no gold left, so Thunderfry has fully invested in getting up to that level quickly, rewarded by having access to the 5 cost units earlier, I think, than Skiller was probably expecting to have to start positioning for Viego.
I'm very shocked that Thunderfry has not just died. I thought that their comp would not be strong enough, but apparently Fiddlesticks is a very good carry.
Yeah, no kidding. Alright, let's jump around a bit since we've seen a fair bit of Skiller, and actually, let's go and check in on the Thunderfire directly. So they've kept up the same setup from before, and presumably once they level up, they'll start getting Revenant in. Although, sorry, they actually do have Revenant in already. In fact, they've got Revenant 3. They're just waiting on a Volibear to go up to well, I'd say almost full Revenant power. Not without the Revenant emblem, you can't get all the way up to 5, but 4's still pretty impressive.
This is just such a janky comp, because you've got this random Callista, you've got 2 Cavaliers 1-starred, you have Nocturne Viego as your assassins. Okay, they do take out the random Callista, that's good. You've got just Elysium with the Warmogs as your frontline unit. This is kind of all over the place, but this 2-star Fiddlesticks is carrying hard enough that it doesn't matter quite how janky the comp is.
Yeah, and of course, now the Revenant being in, That means that once that Fiddlesticks does get taken down and come back to life, they'll be dealing even more damage from a already pretty heavy damage unit. You see there how quickly they're ripping through the backline, able to hop, skip, and jump across, and get those kills to get those heals you mentioned before.
Yeah, I think it helps that the positioning there was that Fiddlesticks just got onto the Draven immediately and just killed him, and then there's no damage left for the opponent there. But yeah, this Fiddlesticks is doing pretty well, and it will do even better once it becomes a Heimerdinger. Because I'm fairly sure this is going to be Heimerdinger items, because they are perfect Heimerdinger items.
Oh boy, but you've got a volley bear to bring in. It's tricky.
Yeah, there is a volley bear here, which is obviously better than like Hecarim. Why would you ever play? I mean, the Forgotten buff is not better than Rel. Like, Forgotten buff is nice and all, but Rel is arguably the best singled unit in the game. The shielding and the stun is just ridiculously powerful, especially when you've got an assassin and you can stun their backline as well.
Well, it's sort of interesting thing there with the Viego jumping towards the Vel'Koz is that Abomination Grave functionally working as a blocker unit to keep Vel'Koz from getting jumped on.
Absolutely, that is something that is quite good for the A-bomb. And yeah, very, very safe Vel'Koz there, and you can see that was the difference maker. A fairly competent comp, kind of cutting through the jank here.
Well, we have our players will do what they will. Certainly got an enormous amount of different skill ranges here. I do appreciate it when people are able to make a very weird comp work. I mean, certainly that Heimerdinger is on the bench for when I suspect the fun has been had. As we'll see what Saucy's up to. So, waiting to get up to 6 Sentinel is pretty late in the game to not have that. So, we need to make a leap, jump up in levels. I presume they must have been going for a reroll style to be lower level enough to not have 6 Sentinel already.
You'd assume so. I think I saw her going for reroll Sentinels in the previous game, so maybe that's just her comp of choice. Reroll Sentinel really isn't much of a thing, I don't think. But you know, if you want to play it, you can play it, and clearly that's what she wants to go for.
I guess this was well, you know, I think for some of our players, they won't necessarily have a ton of experience with the set, so this is exactly what Mort was talking about before with the whole vertical trait thing, is that, you know, if you're coming into the set sort of more with, you know, more questions than answers, then having a vertical trait like Sentinels would be the place you go, because at least you know if it's a Sentinel, I'll pick it up, and generally the more of them they have, the better.
Absolutely, yeah. You should click on silver units and then be happy. It is how I describe it. And yeah, it can definitely work. Although obviously, if you don't hit the verticals, it's kind of bad. Does end up winning again against the Draconic A-bomb version. Viego was able to not get immediately bullied by a A-bomb right there.
Oh,
I'm still so shocked that the Thunderfry is not rolling here.
Alright, well, let's check in with Skiller, because they've just had some big news themselves. They've hit 3-star Yasuo. So, up now against Thunderfry. Let's see how they end up doing. So, Thunderfry's got that big AoE they need to worry about. Yasuo is right there, ready to be devoured. Hold the Nightbringer shield. We'll keep them up for now, but then Viego's will come in to finish off the job, and I think once the Yasuo's gone, it's all over Skiller in not just this round, but in this, or not just this game, but in this round of the competition as a whole. Keeping it up pretty well towards the end, but couldn't deal with the power of the Scarecrow.
Well, that's more the power of the Viego than anything. Again, that's just a positioning difference. If Yasuo doesn't get stolen by Viego, Skiller wins that matchup every time. And yeah, that's all there is to it. Just don't get your carry stolen by Viego. Although, honestly, it's easy for us to say when we're just like sat here at the casting. But yes, that's essentially the difference we'll make of that. And did you see that Wumu has got 8 Dawnbringer, which is quite a lot, I think.
Yeah, that is a huge amount of healing coming through there. So we'll see how they do up against, let's see, who have they got? So Thunderfry. So you'd imagine that they should do pretty okay in this setup here, because at least the main carry isn't in a immediately stealable position, though Viego is doing a pretty good job of working through. By the time they get to Karma, I think they will be, well, dead? Yes.
Yeah, they're dead.
So Thunderfry is having a lot less of a good time, especially since, yeah, so Viego can't steal the carry, and also Fiddlesticks can't just insta-give the carry either.
Yeah, because Fiddlesticks is a damage over time type of thing, that gives essentially time for the Dawnbringer thing to proc. And 8 Dawnbringer is a lot of health. I think it's something like 160% of the unit's total HP. So they essentially just heal up all the damage done, and it's impossible for Fiddlesticks to really get his resets going. And yeah, that's just one of the issues with Fiddlesticks, is he's bad against units that he can't kill instantly.
Alright, so Wumumu's in a good spot here. We'll see if there's any kind of... Oh, this.
Good spot, but still only has Karma 1, interestingly. I'm very impressed that they've done this well without managing to hit their 2-star carry.
Yeah, so at least they've got the Radiant Blue buff, and... I mean, this is very, classic Karma from Yonk's past. Now up against... another classic, which is going to be Draven carry, Forgotten and Abomination being brought together, though they don't have the Rise anymore to link those two traits. Still doing pretty well.
They're doing pretty well, able to cut through these Dawnbringers. Again, this is the basically the opposite of the previous comp. It's very, very burst heavy with this Draven, and so the Dawnbringer healing cannot proc fast enough. And, well, they just die, essentially. Oh, that's another Karma. One more.
Oh, there is a Garen.
There's a Garen. I mean, well, if you're dead, you're dead. So you may as well lock for it, right?
Yes. I mean, when you're on 4 HP, Thunderfry on 7, everybody else is much, much healthier, with Khorne still in the 80s in this game. Absolutely ludicrous stuff. They start out with a Hellion comp. We haven't seen them for a little while, so we'll have to check and see if they've stayed on that path, but apparently Hellion's been treating them pretty darn well.
Yeah, I mean, as I said, it's a pretty good comp. And wait, they just played them the same twice in a row? Huh?
Was it a ghost last time?
It must have been, which is very unfortunate. Can see if maybe the Karma can get some good spells off this time. But I don't think so, and, well, we can't see it anymore, but I'm fairly sure they are just dead.
Alright, so Skiller has just told me that they're heading out, so I'll take them out for our view feed.
And Wumumu is also just dead, so that's it for them. So Thunderfry is our last streamer standing.
Oh no! So I think this is a good enough time to announce our final giveaway.
No.
Just before everyone starts heading off after finishing the round. So it's going to be asking the players of the tournament who they enjoy playing with the most. And that will be, those people will be entered into a draw at the end. So I'm expecting to get quite a lot of different answers here. So hopefully, people are still around.
Yeah, you told people would still be around. We do see finally some movement in this comp. I do really think these items should be moved to Heimerdinger and should have been moved a good while ago for Thunderfry. Somehow they're level 9, which I think is just wild. With the fact they went open 4 into fast 9 and then, they messed up the Shroud. Unfortunate. It's very impressive to me.
Alright, so questionnaire is up. Please do let me know on the Google Forms there before we get to the end here. Thunderfry on the edge of elimination as Khorne. Oh, there we go, of course, yes. I think we've seen Khorne's ghost, but not necessarily Khorne themselves. So using that Vel'Koz and doing some pretty nasty stuff. The Giant Slayer in there as well. Fantastic for this point in the game.
Absolutely. Everything's so healthy. Lots and lots of HP. And, well, that's it. The Jank comp finally falls, and wait, we don't have any more perspectives.
Alright, we'll stuck around.
Wumumu is our ghost perspective. We'll have to hope that they can give us all of the juicy details as this comes to a close.
Alright, so we can see Korn doing it spectacularly well, even though they've got what seems to be a fairly irrelevant Radiant item on the Fiddlesticks. They're still crushing the lobby.
Well, the thing with Abomination, right, is you essentially get 2 Radiant items. Because you put it on an ABOM unit, and it goes on also the Abomination. And I think that's typically the play you go for, is why Abomination was so strong and needed a hotfix. So yeah, the Abomination will come out. It's pretty strong Abomination with these items, and able to kind of tear through D-Wolf's team.
Of course, how very foolish of me not to spot that. So yeah, I mean, that is extremely nasty. I guess the ideal situation is to have, has to have that Radiant unit actually be able to sort of make use of the unit, of the item itself.
Yeah.
But in this case, we actually don't have any Callistas left in the competition. It's just Abomination as a throw-in here, but it's working really, really well. We've only got 2 Spellweaver, and we've got a million traits down the left-hand side of the screen. So, hey, seeing something a little bit different, this time it's working really well.
Yeah, it's working really well. Typically, I think with this comp, what you end up doing is you end up going Heimerdinger. I know I've said Heimerdinger a lot as things people should go for, but genuinely, the way you end up playing this is you have a Heimerdinger. So that's kind of what I expect to happen later into the game. You can see that Nasal Spray here has the Heimerdinger 2, and that's really where the powerhouse starts going. Although, this is actually going to be cruel. Winning the lobby, Timo gets to eat an entire baby dragon for his lunch, and Nasal Spray will be a bit annoyed about that one.
Oh my gosh, it's such a strange world we live in where there are things in the game specifically just to get clips on YouTube, but hey. Alright, so down to Nasal Pro and Korn 19. Korn 19, with that redeemed comp, has remained undefeated for such a long time. They're going to be coming in with, an Akshan 2 as well. Very nice, very nice. Nasal Spray getting in the Dawnbringer Spatula. That's an interesting choice. We'll give some good healing on the front line at least.
It makes the Garen a little bit tankier, it makes the Gwen a little bit tankier, yeah. No harm there. And though, Korn has a Renewer Timo. How exciting.
Oh boy.
Timo 2 as well. Has the HP to really afford this, doesn't he?
Yes. I mean, if you've ever seen a chance to... I wouldn't expect them to be buying Timos and selling them just for gold at this point. They've got so much in the way of HP. Korn 19. That's a shot across most of the field, though doesn't manage to take too much damage onto the Heimerdinger, so that shot back will do a decent amount, but not enough, I think, to salvage the round.
I mean, it's looking pretty close, actually. I mean, the Heimerdinger does die now, so that's probably it. I don't think this Lux is going to be strong enough. Although she's trying her best.
Wait,
is it going to be another cruel?
It's going to be cruel to be kind! Oh my gosh, yeah, this is done.
Okay, no. They did die. Ivan didn't die in time for another cruel. What a tragedy.
4 Mystics, though, in the setup there for Nasal Sprays, trying to make sure that they shrug off that Vel'Koz damage, but I have to wonder as well, while the Abomination, or I don't know why they call it something other than the Abomination, while the Monstrosity from the Abomination trait did get nerfed pretty heavily in terms of attack speed, it presumably, over enough time, is a pretty significant physical damage threat.
Yeah, he will hit you fairly hard, as will this Heimerdinger 2 that has now come through. And I think with this 2-star Heimerdinger, the game is probably over now. I think that, yeah, Korn is just too strong here.
Look at that Viego trying to steal the turret there, so wasn't able to be CC'd, and actually took long enough to die that even got the cast off. Nasal Spray is out of here. Korn with a dominating victory to end out our competition.
Yeah, that's just the power of the Heimerdinger comp. Basically crushes all opposition, especially even though their opponent was also a Heimerdinger comp.
Well, I mean, I think it bears out what you were saying before. If you're ever, caught up wondering what you should be doing at any given point, the answer is almost certainly going to be Heimerdinger.
Absolutely.
Right. So I'm just going to get our last results in here. Let's see, we've got round this is... I think we haven't quite got the results from that last game in. So we'll have to wait for that to come in. But, Blob, what kind of lessons can we learn from today's competition?
What we can learn is Heimerdinger is good, reroll is good. Apparently defensive comps are good, and that's about it really. Obviously that's just a little bit silly, but it's one of those things where it's like these 3 games, like it's quite hard to actually learn anything from them. Obviously there's a lot of things to learn in any game. If you're ever playing a game and you're like a game of TFT, you're like, yeah, I played perfectly, you're wrong. So you can always analyze your games and learn from them and see what these other players have been doing, especially the ones who won the lobbies.
Alright, so let's see. I'm just getting the results in from round 2 because I realised I neglected to put those in. And Korn did pretty well there as well, so I will have to double check on the round 1 results, but I think they are in a pretty good spot coming out of that last game with that win. I mean, well, for any of our players watching, what kind of comps would you be recommending in their, I guess solo queue is what we would maybe call it?
I would recommend playing Yasuo.
Okay.
Yasuo is fairly easy to play. At least I think it's fairly easy to play. You just pick up Yasuo, you put items on Yasuo, you build synergies around him. It's fairly intuitive, the synergies you want to build. And it's fairly uncontested. Obviously, it can be contested. It's not that unpopular. So yeah, I'd recommend playing Yasuo. I'd recommend staying away from skirmishes. Yeah, that's about it, really.
Oh, poor old skirmishes. I'm very curious to see if there's any kind of adjustments to play, or to TFT as a whole as set 5.5 goes through. But I think there's been quite a lot of rumblings about set 6 having a lot of work put into it.
Yeah, I think, well, from what I've heard, at least set 6, is that they got the idea fairly early, and we're like, oh, this is a really good idea. And so yeah, they've had a lot of time to really polish it, apparently. Although, who really knows? Maybe it'll be terrible. Well, we can't really tell until it comes, right?
I guess that's true. Alright, so I believe we got one more lobby's worth to go through. Let's get our wheel of names going, because we've got quite a lot of different giveaways to source out today. So let's hop back to here and our wheel of names.
Oh, the wheel of names.
Thunderfire, every set is terrible because I don't win. It makes a lot of sense. Alright, so we've got a lot of giveaways to get through today. Hopefully we'll get our results from Lobby 2 soon. But alright, so we asked some of you guys who were your favourite, from our new players, who the favourite players to play with. Just got a couple of responses, but hey, that's enough to work with. So our 2 responses were Hobo and Wumumu. Well, overwhelmingly our most welcoming players, so we tried to make sure that was on the down low so no one was fake welcoming or anything. We don't want people being friendly without reason.
Yeah, you don't want people pretending to be friendly. That would be so terrible.
No, only genuine niceness to be found here. So, between Wumumu and Hobo for £5 worth of RP, it's gonna be...
Oh, very exciting spin that.
That was truly the most exciting of spins. There you go. Alright, so give away winners. Newbie Choice Award is going to be Hobo. So let's tag them up. Right. So thank you very much for being a great pal, Hobo. And oh, hello. What was that about? Hey, Rain, thank you for the follow. Right, so next on our list of stuff to get done. So I believe, let's see, who did we have in today? Oh, someone's gone into the user archive and done something a bit weird. So I need to make sure we've got all of the players in the lobby. And then we can see who's the streamer. So from our participants, let's see. So Chris, Korn. Oh my gosh, there's too much stuff going on. Hmm? Okay, let's see. So, Mr. Duck. Mr. Duck. Thunder Fighter. Belingus. Chevenoir. Skiller. Who else? Wumimu, of course.
D-Wolf did it?
Yes, D-Wolf. Is there anybody else?
There definitely was, wasn't there?
Oh, Omniscient Bots, I think streamed as well. At least I think so. They're listed here as having a stream. Let's have a quick check and see. Twitch.tv/. Oh. I don't know what happened there. Okay.
I'll take out an age to Thunder Fighter's name, apparently.
Hmm? Oh. I don't know.
I think that's everyone? Maybe?
Okay, yes, I can't see. Omniscient Bot, if you're still around. Let's see, the Lucas. I am Lucas, I believe. We did. I don't think we got to use them, but I'll include them because I'm. As long as they were streaming, even if we didn't get a chance to actually use them ourselves. Let's see. Alright, I think that covers everyone anyway. So let's see who is going to get our streamer prize today. Huh! It's... Oh! It's Wumimu!
That was a close spin.
Oh my gosh, that is ridiculous. Okay. So... let's add you in as the streamer award. So, Wumimu, congratulations. Let's see. We did get our lobby 2 results, so that does mean I can actually put in our last results of the day. So, good job, Omniscient Bot, or I am Lucas, winning out that lobby. Yucca in second, Hobo in third, Despelingus in fourth, One Green Bullet in fifth, and Mr. Duck, who presumably was playing Duck mode, in last there. So which hopefully means, if everything hasn't gone too crazy, yes, we've got our final standings to announce. So, with 7 points, it's Rain with 9, Mr. Duck with 11, One Green Bullets, Wumu with 12, Skiller with 13, D-Wolf with 16, Thunder Fighters ahead with 17, Deathbelingus and Hobo just hopping across at 18 and 19 respectively. Omniscient Bot tied with Yucca and Korn for a 3-way tie for second place. But Nasal Spray, on their first arrival in the competition, gets to take home the winner's prize. So congratulations to you, Nasal Spray. You will get yourself 10 little legend eggs. So we will get that sorted out.
I mean, that's as much prize as the Set 3E regionals.
Is it? I don't know.
I think it was 50 eggs actually. But oh well, don't worry about it.
Yeah. Where did I? Oh gosh. There we go. Oh, did I not save it before? That's a bit weird. Right. So tournament winner. Let's just make sure we got the right name. So, what's... Oh, there we go, Nasal Spray. So, streamer winner is Wumimu. There we go. Right. We've also got the giveaway for everybody who was in the competition, apart from the winner. So let's get that one done. So thumbnail is pretty out. And so let's see who's going to get the same prize as the winner. It's Fumu again. Well, there you go.
Seems rigged to me. Well, it would have been Hobo if it hadn't been Mumu, so.
That's true. Okay. I think maybe for next time I'll take out people who've won something already. But I didn't say I was going to do that for this time, so I won't. So that's 10 little legends. 10 little legends. Alright, and let's see who's responded on the last questionnaire. So we've got ourselves 7 answers. And let's put them into the wheel of names. So, someone really enjoyed playing with Corn. They even put a little bit of commentary back to their name. Alright, so between Superjack, Thunderdry, Pete, Huntertron, Death Belingus, oh no, Skiller got in twice. Gosh, people really like playing with Skiller. And Corn19. Let's see who gets our final RP prize. That's the most pleasant to be around.
Ooh.
It's Thunderfry!
Incredible.
Alright, so that brings us to the end of our 4 different giveaways. Oh my gosh, that was a lot. So, with that all said and done, Improbable Blob, thank you so much for joining on casting today.
Yeah, no problem.
Oh, Hunter Trouble was in their choice as well, were they? Oh, they were. I didn't notice because they have 2 different names. Was Thunderfry in their choice? I don't think so.
No, they're just there once.
Okay, cool. That could have been controversial. Alright, that's what happens when you do things in a hurry. But for any of the folks who may be watching who have missed out on all that you're up to, Improbable Blob, could you give us a little, idea of what should our viewers, why should they be going and following twitch.tv/improbableblob_TFT right now?
Well, I'm okay at the game, I guess. I stream pretty regularly. I'm usually actually streaming now, but I'm doing this instead. I will be streaming later today after I have my lunch. So yeah, I play TFT at a level that most people would consider as good. I don't consider it good, but other people do, and that's what counts, isn't it?
So I'm gonna have to go through and do some interpretation for Blob here. So Blob, a very high level TFT player, just leading with that rather than leaving it to the end of the sentence, I think is the way to play. So if you want to get some high level insights, then do head across to Improbable Blob TFT and drop a follow there. Thank you guys for the follows. Very much appreciated. We're doing these tournaments on a bi-weekly basis. So the next tournament will be, and I'll need to get this all set up, but on the 14th of August. So the sign-up link will be going up shortly, once I have myself some lunch. And then that will all be sorted out for then. I think for this next one, I'm going to figure out if I need to make it a... Actually, I'll leave it to you, Blob. What do you think? Should it be hyper roll or regular TFT?
I mean, I think regular TFT is better, so I would vote for that one.
Alright, we'll go for regular TFT for next one. The one afterwards will be hyper roll, though. Because I want to make sure that there's at least some hyper roll for those who are fans of it. It's also kind of fun to mess around with. Right. So let's find someone who is streaming TFT and head across to them. Anyone you can recommend?
I mean, there would have been, but they stopped streaming a while ago, so no.
Alright, well let's find someone new then. Oh wait, no, we actually have to go physically find it. Ugh, how terrible. Where are you? Teamfight Tactics. Gosh, you need to get some more viewers in the Teamfight Tactics. So we definitely don't want to send it to someone who is already doing a lot, because that seems a little redundant. So let's go from low to high and see if there's anyone which we've heard of before. So at least we know that it's going to be someone we can sort of trust to be doing a good experience. Oh, George GNC. Okay, it's his birthday stream. And I know who they are as well, so that's something. Yes, normally it would be Blob, because Blob is normally streaming around this kind of time, so would send the raid across. But again, do go follow. Blob, what's your usual streaming times, actually?
From 2 hours earlier than now.
Okay.
Until whenever I finish.
Is that every day?
Every day apart from Sundays, when I start an hour later.
Alright, cool. So there you go. Do go and check Improbable Blob out. Absolutely fantastic streamer. Has all of the best stuff. You're gonna love it. But let's go check out George GNC. So it's someone I've actually worked with before, and it's their birthday. So let's come say happy birthday to them. I have to keep laughing quite a while. It takes a while before the raid goes through. Alright. See you guys in 2 weeks' time. And hey, we are out of there. So nice job.
How exciting.
Oh. Hey, I think we managed to actually hit a good amount of people. Also, it was nice that the thumbnail was the talk screen.
Yeah, that was convenient, despite the fact that we're not on there at all.
Yes. Oh. There we go. We made George's day at least.
Alright, well, I'm going to turn off this camera for you then. Don't need that anymore.